From the tiniest microorganisms to insects and humans, all living beings follow the same basic rule. They're born, they grow, they age, and eventually die. That rule held true for everything, until one creature quietly refused to follow it. And surprisingly, it's not some strange deep-sea bacteria or alien-like fungus. It's the common lobster. From the moment a lobster is born, it just keeps growing. Its cells don't show normal signs of aging, its body doesn't weaken with time, and it continues functioning almost as efficiently as it did decades earlier. This completely breaks what we understand as the fundamental laws of biology. Because every cell ever studied is supposed to wear down and die. Yet, lobsters don't seem to get that memo. Scientists first noticed something strange when studying lobster populations and realized older lobsters weren't slower or weaker. Many were actually larger, stronger, and more fertile than younger ones. That makes no sense in normal biology. Aging in most animals is built into the system. Cells divide, DNA degrades, muscles weaken, organs slow, and the body gradually shuts down. You can see it clearly in aging animals and humans alike. But a lobster that's 50 or even 90 years old can still outperform a younger one. The reason lies in a powerful enzyme lobsters produce throughout their entire lives called telomerase. In most animals, telomerase shuts down in adulthood, but lobsters never turn it off. Every time a cell divides, the ends of DNA strands, called telomeres, get shorter. And when they become too short, the cell can no longer divide, leading to aging and death. Telomerase prevents that shortening, keeping the DNA intact, allowing lobster cells to keep dividing cleanly without breaking down. Lab tests have shown lobster tissue displays little to no cellular aging regardless of age, which is why people often say lobsters are immortal. They aren't truly immortal, but biologically they don't die from old age. Their organs don't fail, fertility doesn't decline, and they don't suffer age-related diseases like mammals do. In theory, if you removed predators, disease, accidents, and humans, a lobster could keep living indefinitely. So what actually kills them? Ironically, the same process that allows them to grow also seals their fate. Lobsters have a hard exoskeleton that doesn't grow with them. So to increase in size, they must shed it completely in a process called molting. When they are young, molting happens several times a year and isn't too risky. But as lobsters grow larger, their shells become thicker and heavier, and breaking free becomes extremely demanding. Molting requires massive amounts of energy, and one failed attempt can leave a lobster trapped, exhausted, and vulnerable to disease or predators. Interestingly, molting is also the only time lobsters can mate. A female stays in the male's den while her new shell hardens, and months later, she can release up to 100,000 eggs into the ocean, most of which won't survive. Only a tiny fraction grow into adult lobsters, and an even smaller number reach extreme ages. A 50-year-old lobster can grow over 70 centimeters long and weigh more than 20 pounds, hundreds of times larger than at birth. If humans grew like lobsters, a 50-year-old person would be nearly 1,000 feet tall and weigh thousands of tons, which is physically impossible. And that's exactly the problem lobsters face. They don't die because their bodies wear out. They die because their size eventually becomes impossible to maintain. As lobsters age, molting becomes slower and rarer. What once happened several times a year can take years to prepare for. Eventually, some lobsters reach a point where the next molt never comes. their bodies stall. Trapped inside an aging shell, they no longer have the strength to escape. They may still be alive, but movement becomes limited. Infections set in, organs strain, and the system collapses from within. Autopsies of massive lobsters reveal shell disease, muscle deterioration, and internal damage that never appears during their prime. Rare giants do exist, like the 44-pound lobster caught in Nova Scotia in 1977, estimated to be over 100 years old. Others, like George, a lobster believed to be over a century old, show that survival is possible. But even these giants are usually one failed molt away from death. Their shells are scarred, joints stiff, limbs missing. They aren't unstoppable monsters. They're ancient tanks held together by luck. Despite their reputation, the average lifespan of lobsters is far shorter, about 31 years for males and 54 for females. That's the quiet irony of lobster immortality. They don't age out. They max out. In the end, even a creature that escapes aging can't escape physics. Because for lobsters, the rule is simple. If you can't molt, you can't live.